For the past few years, the idea of carrying around a physical camera has been pretty outdated for most people who don't consider themselves photographers. Everybody has collectively agreed that it's just much easier to only carry your smartphone and use this thing as a daily driver for photography and taking photos and capturing memories. I've always used my smartphone to take daily photos of whatever I'm doing, but recently I opened up my camera app and I realized something. I don't ever take photos. Seriously, these were the last 5 photos that have been saved in my camera roll. It's really bad. So in an attempt to fix this issue, I decided to ditch my smartphone and pick up a DigiCam from 2014 to take photos with. This is the Sony W830, which is a compact digital camera that's been around for about a decade and came out whenever most people weren't using their phones for everything. It's got a 20.1 megapixel camera, an 8x optical zoom, which is around 25 to 200 millimeter focal length, image stabilization for taking photos, a whopping 720p HD video recording. Sit down. Wow, so handsome. A 2.7-inch LCD screen, and it's extremely light at only 120 grams. It's probably one of the most basic cameras I've ever held. I think this thing has a lot of great design for boomers and people who don't like technology because there's really not much to do with this thing. On the exterior, you've got obviously the power button, the shutter button, as well as the zoom in and zoom out. There's 3 different modes for taking photos. You've got the initial just basic photo mode, the panoramic photo mode, as well as the video recording mode. You can shoot in auto mode, which is like the intelligent, just basic adjustment, or you can go into a couple of different settings like program, or maybe have a couple of filters on your photos that you're taking. You can adjust the image size and the image quality, exposure compensation, continuous shooting. There's nothing crazy. I mean, the only thing that I ended up adjusting in these settings was just turning on the grid line so that I could actually line up some of my subjects that I'm taking photos of. But other than that, there's really like no other crazy settings on this thing. It's extremely basic, and that was the whole point of this device, just something straightforward with nothing extra. And that ended up being the main reason why I love this camera so much. I bought this for about 50 bucks, but only because I knew a family member who owned this and was willing to sell it to me for such a great price. Most of these things, because of the recent trends on TikTok and social media, have skyrocketed in price. If you're trying to pick up one of these things in a decent condition, you're looking at maybe $120 to $180 just for this specific model. There's other cameras that take worse quality photos that have a more aesthetic or vintage vibe that you might be able to get for cheaper, but if you want to have something that replaces your iPhone or your smartphone that takes decent quality, I would expect to pay around, like I said, $150+ for a digital camera to keep in your pocket, at least nowadays. The battery life on this thing is also pretty dang good. I noticed that it lasts me about the whole week before I have to recharge it or even consider charging it again. So why would I pick this up? What's the point of actually having a physical camera in my pocket instead of just using my iPhone? And the main reason is just because it's so much more enticing for my brain to take photos when I'm out and about doing everyday stuff. I think as smartphones have become more and more a part of our lives, we often forget just how much is associated with just this single device. You've got so many different things that you can do on this thing that whenever you pick it up and you're trying to accomplish one task, odds are you're going to end up doing several different things, getting distracted, or just simply forgetting about the initial task that you wanted to do in the first place. So my whole ideology has been following similar trends on TikTok and other social media apps, which is decentralizing the smartphone and having single-use devices. And right now, this is my single-use device for a camera. Having this single-use device in my pocket for some reason makes me much more inclined to take photos. And I noticed immediately the past few weeks whenever I was out and about doing everyday stuff, or maybe I was going on a date with my wife or getting dinner, going to a bookstore, whatever it was, I was way more inclined to bust out my camera and take photos of things because it's just so much more fun to use this device instead of my iPhone. I'm going to show you the two different things. You can open up your iPhone and see maybe a couple of different notifications. You have to ignore those. Then you go to your camera app, you open that up, you frame whatever it is that you're trying to take a picture of, and then snap the photo, lock the phone, put it back in your pocket. It's very simple, right? Very easy. A couple of distractions, but for the most part, you kind of get the job done pretty quickly. When you're taking a photo with this camera, you whip it out of your pocket, turn the device on, you hear the buttons, it extends outwards, you see the subject you want to take the photo of, you push down the shutter button, you might see the flash, you hear the buttons, you see the photo get taken, and then you can turn the device off, hear it powering down, and put it back in your pocket. Now, to some people, it might not seem like that big of a difference, but to me and to my brain, with what I'm feeling, taking photos with this camera is so much more satisfying. It is really hard to describe to somebody that hasn't actually used one of these DigiCams. And I even notice it whenever I'm out and about in public and I ask my wife to either take a photo of me or I ask somebody else to take a photo of my wife and I together. I find that the people who don't actually carry these devices are just as excited to use the camera as I am. And it's extremely straightforward because this device is so simple, anybody can take a photo with it, but it's also still really fun and you get that tactile experience. And seeing other people also enjoy taking a photo more is a lot more exciting for me than just handing them my iPhone. So you mix in the idea of keeping a device in your pocket that is strictly for photos alongside the tactile experience of pushing down the buttons, turning the camera on, and you get the perfect result of taking more photos. Most of the things on my phone are either memes or things that I'm gonna buy at the grocery store or just a bunch of random crap that I don't actually use. And it's rare that I have photos on my iPhone that are of my everyday life and little moments in between the big events. But with this device, I want to take photos of the little moments. I want to take photos of this stupid flower that I saw on the side of the road, or something, in a bookstore, or maybe my wife drinking something from our breakfast that we ate. I don't know, whatever it is. I want to use this camera more and more as I keep it in my pocket. I'm going to want to look back at the memories and the small moments and not just all of the big events in my life. And having a camera and an option to take photos of things like that, to me, is extremely valuable. And yes, I do believe that there's some form of recency bias. I have had this thing for not too long, so maybe my infatuation with the device will die down, but I can't see that happening so long as I every day decide to put this thing in my pocket. I'm going to want to take photos more often because I'll think to myself, oh yeah, I have my camera, I should use it. I should use the one device that does one job. I should actually engage with that. When I'm out, I don't even want to touch my phone or bring it out, because once it's already out and my eyes have looked at my phone, I'm already sucked in. I'm looking at my text messages. I could see my email. It's already too far gone. And so the idea that in order to get to my camera app or to access my camera, I have to go through those distractions, or I have to fight some of the urges to do other things, it kind of makes me just not want to take the photo in general. There's also something really great and nicely organized about having a little SD card that I can just call memories or everyday carry or EDC or whatever it is you want to put on it, because now all my photos are just on that simple SD card and it's not combined in with everything else like memes and weird photos I save online or recipes that I screenshot. It's just the photos, which makes me a little bit happier because I'm more organized then with what I'm taking and the photos that I do have. So depending on the person, I can see this working out for you. There are some pros and some cons though with the device. Carrying around an extra device in your pocket in general is just a pain, so I can understand somebody not wanting to keep this around. But for me, it's so lightweight, even if I still have my smartphone on me, my wallet and my keys, it doesn't make it too heavy as long as you're wearing like some pants with some decent pockets. You can usually get around pretty easily and smooth with this camera in your pocket. The build quality also isn't the best. It's a little bit of a plasticky feeling, and it's supposed to have some type of metal effect according to Sony, but it just feels like kind of plasticky and a little bit fragile, but that's kind of what you expect for something that's in the lower price range of a daily camera. And some people actually make the argument to just carry around the nice camera that you do have. I have a Sony a7C II, and I also have a Sony a6400, but I don't want to take those things out with me because A, they're extremely expensive and I don't want to break them if I'm out and about, and then B, I don't see the purpose of having these fancy cameras when all I'm trying to do is just capture a simple little memory. If I have a DSLR with me or something fancier, I'm gonna want to adjust the ISO, I'm gonna want to adjust the shutter speed, and I'm gonna get dragged out of the present moment when in actuality all I want to do is just stay in the present moment but also get the photo. And I find myself not being able to do that when I have a fancier camera, but there are some people who want that quality, want that extra sharpness on their photos, and to those people I definitely think that this might not be for them. But for the people who want a simpler experience and want to capture the memories of their day-to-day, this has been seriously a life-changing device. But that's about it. This thing is awesome. I love carrying this in my pocket, and it's something that I think I'm going to continue to do. And even if the trend dies down a little bit, I hope to see myself still having this bad boy in my pocket. I felt like yapping about this device for the whole video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, or maybe even consider just using your phone a little bit more. And if you could take some photos of your daily experiences a little bit more, then that's a win, because at the end of the day, when we're all old and just looking back on our lives, we probably want some more photos of those small moments, and I think we'd all appreciate that more. But that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.